Welcome in, everyone, ready to dive into something fascinating, but also kind of unnerving.
Absolutely. It should be fun.
We're tackling the Cobra effect today. You ever try to fix something and it just blows up in your face?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to unpack why that happens and, more importantly, how to avoid it.
And we'll do it by looking at some really captivating examples, some historical, some contemporary issues. We might even step into psychology a bit, see what's going on there.
All right, I am so ready for this. First, what exactly is the Cobra effect? Honestly, it sounds kind of ominous.
It can be. Starts with good intentions, right? See a problem, want to solve it, just like those British officials in colonial India. They had, well, let's just say a Cobra situation.
A few too many snakes slithering around.
A few too many. So they decided to offer a bounty. Bring us a dead Cobra, get a reward. Simple.
On the surface, yeah, that makes sense. Less Cobras, problem solved. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, so much. You have no idea. See that reward? For dead Cobras, it created a whole new industry. Cobra breeding.
Wait.
You kidding?
Nope. People realized, hey, the government will pay me for dead Cobras. I can breed them.
So instead of fewer Cobras, they ended up with more Cobras.
Way more Cobras. They abandoned the scheme, released all those captive Cobras.
Oh, no.
Made the problem even worse. And that, my friend, is the Cobra effect in a nutshell. A solution that backfires and actually makes the original problem worse.
Talk about a cautionary tale. So how do we avoid falling into this trap? It feels like almost anything could backfire if you look at it the wrong way. You're not wrong. This really highlights how we often try to control systems that are way more complex than we realize. Like in that Cobra story, they missed a huge factor. Economic incentives, how people respond to them.
So good intentions aren't enough. Got to think several steps ahead, consider all the angles.
Exactly. But hey, don't get discouraged. Just knowing about these pitfalls, like this Cobra effect, is a huge step toward making smarter choices.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So where do we go from here? How do we dodge these metaphorical Cobras?
Well, from those sunny streets of India, let's hop over to the cobblestone alleys of 19th century London.
London. Here.
They had their own little run-in with unintended consequences.
London, 19th century. I'm already picturing Sherlock Holmes dodging Cobras in those foggy streets.
Ah, not Cobras this time.
Right. Okay, so what unintended consequences are we talking about in London's history?
Rats. London had a huge rat problem back then.
Ah, classic.
And just like with those Cobras in India, the officials thought, hey, let's offer a bounty, kill a rat, get paid. Seemed like a good idea at the time.
So what happened? Do they start breeding rats too?
You guessed it. People are quick to spot a way to make some money. Rat catching, too much work. Why not just breed them?
No way. They really did that.
Yep. The authorities accidentally created a whole rat breeding industry. Instead of getting rid of rats, they just kept multiplying.
Unbelievable. History really does have a way of repeating itself, huh? Makes you wonder what we're doing today. That'll seem crazy in 100 years.
Right. It really makes you think.
It does. So are there any more recent examples of this Cobra effect in action?
Absolutely. Think about large-scale reforestation efforts. Planting thousands, even millions of trees to fight deforestation. Sounds great, right?
Yeah. Who doesn't love trees? Seems like a win-win.
Exactly. But here's the catch. What if those trees aren't native to the area they're planting them in? Mass planting without considering the whole ecosystem. It can really backfire.
How so?
Well, it can harm the local wildlife, even hurt agriculture in the area, and in some cases, it can even make wildfires worse.
Wow, I never would have thought of that. So even something as well-intentioned as planting trees can have unintended consequences if we're not careful.
Precisely. And this is exactly why understanding these concepts is so important. We've been talking about the Cobra effect, but have you ever heard of the boomerang effect?
Boomerang effect. I think so. Remind me.
It's when you try to convince someone of something, maybe change their mind. But instead of getting closer to your point of view, they actually move further away.
Oh, right. It's like every argument on social media ever. You try to have a rational conversation, present some facts, and people just double down on their own opinions. It's incredibly frustrating.
And that's the boomerang effect in action. Your intentions might be good, you just want to share some information, but the result is the complete opposite of what you hoped for.
Right. Okay, so we've got Cobra effects, boomerang effects. Any other effects we should be aware of? So we've got Cobra effects, boomerang effects. Any other effects we should be aware of?
There is one more. It's a big one.
Okay, hit me.
The Streisand effect.
Streisand effect. I feel like I've heard of that, but can't quite remember.
It's named after Barbra Streisand. Back in 2003, She tried to get a picture of her Malibu home removed from the internet.
Let me guess. She wanted to keep it private.
Exactly. But the lawsuit she filed, well, it backfired. Big time.
Okay, I think I see where this is going.
Instead of keeping the photo under wraps, the lawsuit made it go viral. It was everywhere, all because she tried to stop it.
So the Streisand effect is when trying to hide something just makes it more public.
Exactly. Trying to suppress information often does the opposite of what you intend. It just makes it spread further and faster.
It's like if I tell you not to picture a pink elephant.
You're already picturing a pink elephant.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got Cobra effects, boomerang effects, Streisand effects. They're all about these unintended consequences, right? Just different flavors, I guess.
Yeah, right. Understanding those nuances, that's key. But it's not enough just to know about them. The real question is, how do we avoid them? How do we make sure our good intentions don't backfire?
Because what's the point of all this knowledge if it just makes us too afraid to actually do anything?
That's the thing. It's not about inaction. It's about informed action. And the first step is acknowledging that the world is messy. There's no quick fix for most problems.
So, step one, ditch the quick fix mentality. What's next?
Next, we need to get good at thinking ahead. Before we jump into action, we need to stop and ask, what could go wrong? And not just the obvious stuff. We need to think about the ripple effects.
So it's like playing chess, trying to anticipate all the possible moves and countermoves.
Exactly. And we can't forget about incentives. Remember those rat breeders in London? We need to make sure our solutions aren't rewarding the very behavior we're trying to discourage.
So we need to think like someone who's trying to game the system. If you were going to exploit this, what would you do?
Now you're getting it. But even with the best planning, we have to remember things change. The unexpected happens. That's why we can't be afraid to start small, test things out.
So instead of going all in, we should dip our toes in first.
Exactly. And be ready to adjust course if things aren't working out.
So, to sum it up, think long term. Consider the risks. Watch out for incentives. Don't be afraid to test and adapt, and be open to feedback. It sounds like navigating a world full of potential Cobra effects is complicated, to say the least.
It is complicated, but it's not impossible. And remember, these unintended consequences, they don't mean we should just give up. They just mean we need to be more mindful, more thoughtful in our approach.
Very well said. A huge thank you to you, expert speaker, for helping us understand this wild world of unintended consequences. And to all of you listening, keep those conversations going. Have you encountered any Cobras in your own life? Let us know. Until next time, stay curious, everyone.